As the sun rose over a leaderless Tehran, the question of who was answered with a name that had long been whispered in the shadows: Mojtaba. Mojtaba Khamenei had spent decades avoiding the spotlight, operating instead as the ultimate gatekeeper to his father's court. Now, the gatekeeper was the king. His rise was not merely a clerical decision, it was a strategic alliance. The IRGC saw in Mojtaba a leader who would protect their interests and ensure the regime's survival. But this choice was a gamble. The 1979 revolution was born from the rejection of hereditary monarchy. To many, the son succeeding the father felt like a betrayal. In the seminaries of Qom, the dissent was palpable. Senior clerics questioned his religious credentials, fearing the supreme leadership was becoming a family business. Mojtaba's first task was to secure his legitimacy. He needed more than his father's name. He needed the absolute submission of the state's sprawling bureaucracy. The security apparatus was deployed to crush any hint of public protest. The new era was to begin not with a celebration, but with a demonstration of force. Tehran held its breath. The silence on the streets was a mirror of the uncertainty in the corridors of power. The honeymoon period for the new leader did not exist. Regional proxies, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and militias in Iraq, quickly signaled their loyalty. To them, Mojtaba represented continuity in a time of chaos. His first official decree was a signal to the world. There would be no retreat. The forward defense doctrine would be maintained at any cost. In Washington and Tel Aviv, analysts dissected the move. Was Mojtaba a strongman in the making, or a placeholder for a military takeover? The chair was no longer empty, but the man sitting in it faced a crisis of identity that the Islamic Republic had never before experienced. The economy remained his greatest threat. Sanctions, corruption, and the cost of regional wars were a weight that even the supreme leader's blessing could not lift. To the youth of Iran, Mojtaba was a relic of the past. The disconnect between the leadership and the people had reached a terminal velocity. The turban he now wore carried the weight of history, the expectations of the faithful, and the fears of the revolutionary elite. The battle for legitimacy was just beginning. To survive, Mojtaba would have to rely on the one institution that had become the true power in Iran. The IRGC was no longer just the protector of the revolution, it was the revolution, and its grip on the state was about to become absolute. While the clerics debated in Qom, the generals were moving in Tehran. The transition was complete, but the power had shifted from the pulpit to the barracks. History would judge Mojtaba not by his lineage, but by his ability to hold together a system that was fracturing under its own weight. The consolidation of power had begun. Mojtaba Khamenei was now the face of the Islamic Republic, but the hands that held him up were made of iron. The succession was over. A new leader had risen. But in the shadows, the true power brokers were preparing for their own ascension. With Mojtaba on the throne, the IRGC's role becomes the central story of the new era. Next, we examine the shadow government. Part 5. IRGC Dominance.